What's up, y'all? It's the Capital UNC, and man, you know what I'm talking to you about, right? We talking about the Good Advice Show and the Good Advice Extended Stay. Miko Noel, the Good Advice Show, man. We've done a couple of shows. I know y'all enjoyed it, man. We will be back on soon. You know how we get down. And plus, my girl, Princess Landers, Good Advice Extended Stay, coming fresh out of Chicago, man. We expanding the format. BWNY. Griot Nation Network, man, coming together, black media working together, man, to bring you something to strengthen your relationships. And we're not talking about just romantic relationships, man. We talking about parent-child relationships, workplace relationships, anywhere you find yourself where you have to deal with people to affiliate and associate throughout our lives, which is everywhere. We deal with that, man, because we want us to be healthy and happy. Hey, just because my favorite happens to be, you know, romantic relationships or what have you, don't mean that yours is and yours has to be. So with that being the case, we covering the full gamut, man. We making sure you get everything you need. We straight dedicated, man. Can't wait till my girl Miko Noel get back in the building. Meanwhile, me and Princess Landers gonna hold it down, man. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. The Good Advice Extended Stay, Good Advice Show with Miko Noel. We bringing it all together, putting it under one umbrella, black media working together. This is Buffalo at its finest, man. You don't want to miss it. I am the Capital UNC, and I'm just co-hosting, riding with the sisters, man. I'm enjoying it, and at the same time, bringing the love and life and liberation, the passion that we bring as a Griot Nation to the scenario. Hey, man, what can I say? You don't want to miss it. Y'all hold it down. Good Advice Extended Stay, Unseen, Miko Noel, Princess Landers, Chicago, Buffalo, under one umbrella. Peace. What's going on, y'all? It is the Capital UNC in with Princess Landers. This is the Good Advice Extended Stay. We want to welcome the family in, you know, to get your week going, man. We got a healthy conversation. You know, we definitely are excited about the topic this evening. And for those of y'all that, you know, are just joining us, getting off of work, you know, we hope you relaxed and sitting back and ready to enjoy yourself. And for those that may be working the night shift, getting ready to go in, may you use this as your fuel, that spirited fuel that you need to get through your night. If you're rolling in your whip, if you're listening to us at griotnationnetwork.com, wherever you may be, BWNY broadcast, let this be your fuel, man. This is the gas extended stay. Princess Landers, how you doing, sweetheart?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I love to hear that smile in your voice as usual. I take it you had a decent day. I understand it started early, but you seem to be ready to go, though.
Yes, I had a good day. I started at 3:30 this morning and had a productive day at work, had a productive day at the gym, did some grocery shopping. And so the next thing I need to do is this show, wrap this up, eat, and go to bed. And it's a good day.
You know what I mean? That's a good look. And so we're going to go ahead and get right into it because I know your time is precious and all that type of stuff. Beauty rest is necessary to keep up that lovely complexion. So we're going to keep it moving. So, all right. So the topic is makeup sex. We knew that we were going to talk about this topic last week. It's been 6 days in the making. And so I take it as though, Princess Landers, that you have some interesting concepts and ideas surrounding the issue, if you will, or surrounding the circumstance of makeup sex. So when I say that, what comes to mind? Other than the actual act. I mean, what comes to mind?
Other than the actual act. Oh, okay, because I was getting ready to say, like, what do you
like, what the hell you mean?
What do you mean?
Exactly.
Yes, well, what comes to mind is, you know, I just had an argument with my significant other, and it's not being resolved, but I know what his trigger is. I know he will respond to me sexually, and so I'm going to pull his coattail, if you will, to get him to respond because he's not responding in any other way. Makeup sex is a form of communication for some people. It can be a lot of different things, you know, when we talk said we were going to talk about this, I was thinking, oh my goodness, I had to talk to some people about this. Like, have you ever had makeup sex? And why do you have makeup sex?
Right.
So some responses that I got was, you know, those two I said, my spouse is not responding to me, and I know he'll respond to this. Someone said that they'll have makeup sex, but they notice that after they have sex, they have a pillow talk so they can resolve. What they started doing is they started resolving their issues in the bed, because that was the only time that they could get their mate to open up and talk was after, because see, he's vulnerable, right? You're tapped into some serious feelings, and spiritually you're more connected. And so that's what one person said, that they use that to conversate about things that they wouldn't normally be able to. Now the husband doesn't know that that's what she does, but that's what's happening.
Right. So
you know, this isn't a joint effort here.
Yeah, I'm sure vehicles and houses and wedding rings have been purchased around, you know, this moment that a brother is in, you know, is in this blissful state, you know, and I think pillow talk is important. However, you know, I guess the question becomes, you know, the physical act is really just, you know, just that, but it fills so many other voids or have so many other purposes emotionally, you know, intangible effects. And to your point, to be able to be in a position or in a mood or in a space where you could talk about things outside of the tension of what the disagreement is. I think makeup sex does provide that.
I agree, but I do think we, you know, when you do that, or when people do that, they need to be mindful of not making it habitual. You know, that this is the only time that we can resolve our issues, or this is what we go to, and we never resolve our issues, you know, because this is what we are accustomed to doing. I can't think of the name of that. It's called Psychology Today. I believe it's a magazine. And Seth Meyers said that makeup sex has the same effect as cocaine. You want a line of cocaine.
Wow.
What? Imagine, I'm telling you. And so when I read that, I was thinking, oh, my goodness. You know, I was thinking about when I used to run a lot. And I remember a doctor said to me I was addicted to dopamine. You know, that's why I did it, because it made me feel so good, because it's released when you're running. And that's the same chemical that's released when you're, you know, having sex. So I think we need to be mindful of that as well. Like, well, what's happening when I get angry with you? Because some people get off on that. Right. And they aren't resolving any of the serious issues. They're using that as an avenue around it, if you will, instead of dealing with some of the issues. So what do you think? Because I have, like, some pros and some cons of makeup sex. So what do you think, if you could just name a couple of the pros and cons of makeup sex, would be?
That's a great setup. I believe that, you know, we could touch on these, you know, I can't wait to touch on these things throughout the show. I do believe that it can become a crutch, you know, however, it also can lead to resentment if one person is not willing to put in the time outside the bedroom to make it work, and they only are pulling your coattail, like you said, or only looking forward to that happening. And then you get this sense of, you know, why is it that we only get along or willing to attempt to get along when we're in the bedroom? Like, if I can't be calm and peaceful, we talked about likability last week, and we have a comfortable environment where we can air out our issues, you know, outside of the bedroom, then eventually, if I'm really dedicated to the relationship and really dedicated to treating you right and you treat me right, then eventually it's going to get to the point where by the time that I'm actually, you know, by the time that we, you know, get down the line, I'm going to start looking at you different. I'm going to start thinking about you, as being lazy, or I'm going to start feeling unappreciated. You know what I mean? So it's certain things that come into the fold that I can think of, and being in that situation before where I was with a woman and we had terrific, magnificent, extraordinary, explosive, sexual intimacy. However, outside of the bedroom, though we had moments, of joy, most of that was in light of or in foreplay of that actual act happening. So you thinking about it like, wow, like every time that we were happy, it led to explosive sex. And every time that we was beefing, we just went and had explosive sex. So ultimately everything, all roads led to that. And when I thought about it, I'm like, she doesn't even know my favorite color consistently. She doesn't even know me or know about me in that regard. And so, it gave me some time to think about it and reevaluate some things. And because I love the person, I didn't want to have them had that fall from grace we talked about last week. But it came to a point and that, it was understood. Hey, this is all that we have. Yo, we're going to be right back, those Princess Landers. We're going to get into this, man. So many different avenues to tackle concerning makeup sex. We often take it lightly, but it's a very serious thing. Good advice, extended stay. Y'all hold on.
Check out the Good Advice Show, Extended Stay, every Tuesday night, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BWNYBroadcast.com and GriotNationNetwork.com. Don't miss it.
Griot Nation, BWNY Broadcast. We are right back with you. I am the capital UNC, and on the line, my esteemed hostess, Princess Landers, man. We talking about makeup sex. And just in sex alone, Princess Landers, it has its benefits by itself, like regardless of who it's with. One of them is exercise. And I don't know that. One of them, yeah. One of them is exercise and the dopamine effect that comes from, that heightened, sense of, of that you go through when you feel that high of lungs, and oxygen and things of that nature. So that has to be looked at, because maybe sometimes, you're going into it and you're really in it by yourself. You know what I mean? You with the person, but you're getting the benefits from the sexual act itself. And does that really resolve the issue you had once you finish? Or do you feel so good to where you just don't care no more? Like, cool, I got what I need and I'm gonna keep it moving. So that's something, that's something to look at. And I do know that human contact, intimacy, sexual intercourse reestablishes some level of acceptance also. It makes you feel accepted. And what happens when you have a disagreement sometime, of course, you don't feel like the other person really wants you anymore. You internalize it, deeply. Mm-hmm. And so when you have sex, it reestablishes that level of acceptance. So it has all these different, these different possibilities. However, as you stated, when it's done out of balance, then it becomes unhealthy, because it's really not a continuous state in the relationship of happiness. It's only happening in the bedroom.
Most definitely, because you can, once you have that, I want to use the word shot, but if we were to talk about a release, a chemical release, and so what I quoted about what Seth Meyers said, which was, sex is like if you had some cocaine. So once you have cocaine and you feel that feeling of euphoria and, you that intoxicating feeling, you just feel great. But then we also know that you come down from that. And so the question is, what happens once you come down from that and you still didn't get your questions answered? You didn't get anything resolved. And so you're left with, now you feel good for about 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, hours, maybe two. But once all that is said and done, how do we come back to the situation at hand? Because I can tell you, I've been in, a situation where it's like, okay, we didn't talk, we talked about this, it started, you think you're going to talk about it, and then you start with this sex or makeup sex, and then it never goes into that. And I think sometimes people are agreeable just to be agreeable because they know that, you know, I don't really care what you're talking about, just take your pants off, I want to have sex. And that's not resolving anything. And like you said earlier, is that when you do that, when a person feels like they're not being, you know, you don't hear them, that you aren't paying attention to them, that they're just talking and they sound like a broken record, you said it, resentment sets up. It's only natural. Feeling of you're not loved or you're not wanted or someone doesn't care for you. And the only time that it looks like they care is when you're arguing, well, let's have sex, or, you know, so that we don't argue, let's have sex. You know what I mean? And we need to think about those things. Because, okay, well, why is it that I only want to have sex with you? And you brought up a great point. Because I only want to have sex with you. It's really simple.
Right.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. It's because you are physically in tune with that person, sexually charged with that person, connected with that person spiritually on a sexual, you know, no. That's what bonds you all together. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, you need to understand that that's just where it is. He may be your soulmate sexually, but he may not be your soulmate as it relates to having a relationship, you know, in longevity.
That's a good point, because there are some benefits, you know, when you are more agreeable and you let your resistance down. You know, a climax in the orgasm is a cure to all resistance. And if you have this and you're in a better state of mind and you use that energy constructively, at that point you say, okay, then let's go at this differently, and let's look at what led up to, you know, that. To me, I don't think, again, that the best time to resolve an argument is during an argument. And so a lot of times, you know, the condition is created that you could, you know, whereabouts that you can use this peaceful state of existence and deal with your issues. And it's nothing wrong with that. I've been in a situation where I've literally said that day when we got into it, I'm gonna get you. You know what I mean? And we both knew what that meant. And as long as the person is treated right, as long as she felt, you know, didn't feel, you know, what's the word, unappreciated or taken for granted or anything, then all that was good. You know what I mean? It was foreplay. Everything you do in a relationship is foreplay. If everything you do in your relationship does not enhance your intimacy, then there's a disconnect. Because the more you're around a person, the deeper the intimacy becomes, and the better quality of lovemaking should come from that. And so you're constantly interacting and touching one another verbally, spiritually, emotionally, so that by the time you're physical, you know, the quality of that matches what you had in the buildup. And so I've always been like, yo, I got you. Oh, I see you. But wait till the night. You know what I mean? And so come here, or whatever the case may be. The problem comes in when you're not treating the person right and you still saying, look, come here. And then so you know, they feel like they're being used, or you feel like you're being used. I've been in that situation where the person was like, yo, you know, and so I'm saying that to say the benefits, the pros and the cons, you know, they actually, you know, are a matter of perception, number one. And number two, it's a matter of really doing the work outside of the bedroom so that makeup sex can be just that. Look, I forgive you. It's cool. You know, it really wasn't that big, but I was really tired, or you know, where you can see past the small things, if you will, because harmony and peace a lot of times make you see how small the disagreements were. On the other hand, if you don't address the disagreements and you just go and make love or try to have sex, then those small things become big things because people feel like you're ignoring them, or you feel like you're being ignored. And so it's how we use this dynamic, because it definitely has some therapeutic benefits and some, you know, I don't care what a man may say emotionally about how he feels, and he could just hit it and quit it, or he can, or the perception about men. We bond with women when we make love. Don't get it twisted. We become just as emotional. You know, we may be socialized to do something different, but there's no way in hell we gonna make love to you and you put it down and I put it down and you get up and don't speak to me and I'm gonna feel good. Like a man needs to stop lying about that. Like that does not happen. You know, we both are capable of being responsible emotional beings and well invested emotional beings. And so things hurt us that we may not talk about. And when we lay in the bed with you and you, oh, daddy, and, you know, whether you fronting or not, whatever the case may be, that validation for us restores our confidence. So makeup sex, when used properly by a woman, can rebuild her man when she know good and damn well that the reason why they beefing is because he may have gone on the job that day and you know, and had a problem, or you may have a problem with his mother and he trying to juggle the both of y'all, and you know, and you can see it on him. You like, baby, come here, let me, you know, come here. You know what I'm saying? We beefing, but let me give you this right here. And when you finish, you know good and damn well when you looking at him, baby, you feel better now? You know what I mean? And he looking like, wow, you did that? That feels good to have that validation and to have a woman to use her power that way. That's very invigorating to a man. And by the same token, when it's a woman and a man really appreciates her in the bedroom, it speaks volumes about how he really respects and values who she is as a woman. And what ends up happening with makeup sex is outside of the bedroom, she may be missing that signal. But in the bedroom, he can restore that also. Yo, we gonna come right back with you, man. We talking about makeup sex on the Good Advice Extended Stay show. We just getting started. Stay on the gas.
Check out the Good Advice show Extended Stay every Tuesday night, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on bwnybroadcast.com and GriotNationNetwork.com. Don't miss it.
Guess what? Good Advice Extended Stay family. We right back with you. We got the lovely, the gorgeous, the beautiful Princess Landis on the line out of Chicago, man. Sister, let me tell you something. I want you to tell me how you feel, right? When you have some type of minor disagreement with your significant other, with your man or what have you, and he has the confidence to look you in your eyes and tell you, that's okay, that's all right. I bet you ain't gonna feel like that after the night. What does that do? Does that pose a challenge to you? Like, okay, then if it's like that, or does it make you say, Negro, please? Like what happens in that moment?
Oh God, the latter. Negro, please.
Is that right?
Yeah, like, please, get gone, get out of here.
Okay.
And the reason that I say that is because I'm more of a, you know, my brain just doesn't operate, it doesn't work like that. And so, in this present day, I am just not wired like that. Now, it could possibly be because, you know, maybe I'm not in a relationship, you know, right now with anyone, and I'm not seeing anyone either. So, but I can recall when I say recent, like in the past months, years, that I'm just not wired like that. You know, if someone were to say that to me, I would be looking at them like you crazy. Let's just talk about what the issues are. It's okay to. It depends on the situation for me. Right. If it was someone that I felt like, when you said they loved me and they cared about me, and this was something that happened and it wasn't a trend, you know, This isn't the latest jeans that's trending now, so we're not doing this all the time, that's different. But if it looks to me that it seems like we're going in this direction and this is starting to become a habit that you go to because you know you can turn me on and you can, you know, tap my shoulder and get me to a certain place, switch that light switch, and I'm like, ooh, okay, and I'm going to forget certain things for a period of time. But it's going to come back. Things always, whenever we don't resolve issues, they always come to the surface. You can bury them as much as you like, You can shower them with gifts. We can have great sex. You know, all those things. But eventually, the debris comes to the top. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just a natural. It happens. So I don't really function that way, and I just don't. That I feel like you can get me if you want to, you know, rattle my cage in a great way. Let's talk about the issues at hand. And now we can talk about how silly it is afterwards, but that's not going to get me in the bedroom. I'm more turned off by that than I am turned on.
That's deep. So let me make sure I'm clear in what you're saying. And for those out there that are listening who agrees with Princess Landers, and you may be wired different, this question is for all of y'all. So are you saying to me that it's something very intoxicatingly sexy about working out your issues with an individual? Like when you finish with that, you will be more turned on than saying, you know what, let's just forget that and let's go just blast this thing out the park. But I do realize that you're saying it's based on what it may be. In other words, if it's something very serious, then you know you're not wired like that, and true enough. But as a general rule, are you saying talking and sitting down and working out serious issues is a bigger turn on than just the raw attraction that you have for a person that may take you away from the issue? Okay.
Yes, most definitely. And I'll tell you this: if I know this for a fact because I was talking to someone earlier, and he said something to me. And he said, okay, you know, all right, I apologize for that. And kept on talking about something else. And there was a feeling that I got. And he acknowledged what I was saying right away. And that we didn't have to have a conversation about it. We're not going to have to talk about that later. He acknowledged it. I accepted that, and we moved on. I'm more turned on by that. I'm more in tune with that because I don't have to sit. I don't have to wonder. I don't have to figure. I've been there before. Don't get me wrong.
Wow. No doubt.
Where I've done okay, we're going to have makeup sex and we're going to talk. And then nothing get resolved at the end of the day. I still had the same issue that I had after I felt good. I still had the same issue after I had, you know, an orgasm or a fake one.
Wait.
I still...
Wait a minute. Hold on. Pump the brakes for a minute. You mean to tell me a great climax or a great orgasm doesn't bring about forgiveness? You mean to tell me you can't feel... Wait a minute. Hold on. You wouldn't trade a tense situation for a great climax... What?
No,
I'm like, maybe I'm missing something. True enough, when you get up, the issue is still there. I give you that. But if there's a chance that when you mean to tell me you can literally say that's not a snowball chance in hell that I'm gonna lay down with you and get 3 climaxes and forgive you for you know, whatever it is. You mean to tell me that that's the case?
I'm saying what I would like to do is forgive you before.
I mean, that's cool, but what I'm saying is...
That's all I'm saying. And maybe
okay,
I am.
all right.
I'm telling you.
I got you.
Yes. You know what? I feel like I'm saying that today, in this present day.
Right,
I'm not saying that I haven't done that. But what experience has taught me and things that I've, you know, gone through because of that is why I'm at this place today. So before, yes, I have done that. And we've had those conversations. And you know what it left me feeling? Very empty. Mm-hmm. Like there was a hole because I didn't get anything that I wanted resolved.
Wow.
I'm not saying sex is great. Don't get me wrong. It feels good and it releases all that. But I would rather go to the gym. I can get just what I need from you.
No, hold on.
I can get from the gym.
Princess Landers, that's true. But when it's 2 people involved, intimacy and sexual intercourse, making love, has a transcending, spiritual, therapeutic effect. And it just, hold on. If somebody sits down and talks to you and resolves an issue with you, that's not unequal to somebody literally taking the time to make love to you and take you to a place. Those gestures a lot of times take just as much work, number one, and number two, actually illustrate a high level from the intimacy standpoint of effort and value sometimes. Because sometimes a person can talk to you and just be dismissive. They can just act like they resolving something with you.
I agree with you on that. Now, we're going to say that. I agree with you. But you're saying something very, let's dissect what we're saying here.
Okay.
You're saying that someone took the time. I hate to lower my voice like that. But someone cared about me enough to take the time to let me know that, we may not have resolved this talking about it verbally.
Right.
But baby, I love you, and I'm sorry that this happened, and I want to show you how much I care for you. And, I'm going to lay my hands on you, and you're going to have this organic,
because sometimes you gotta,
orgasmic,
look, all I'm saying is,
euphoric feeling. Wait, let me finish.
Okay, all right.
I'm down with that.
Okay.
I think that's great. But what I'm saying is, that's one thing when you're connected, when you're tuned in to someone and man, this is my love, and I know he did whatever, and it's okay. But because we're both there. We're connected spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, so it's okay. But I'm talking about a trend. I'm talking about I've gone through where I did that, right? And then one day I was like, this not working for me.
I got you.
And how long am I going to continue to do this with somebody who we know you have? Clearly, we're not getting anywhere. Right. So now I need to look at this situation for what it is and say, okay, well, how about, someone did say, one of my exes did say to me, you rather just go work out and us hang out. Well, now I would. Because we aren't getting anywhere. We aren't resolving anything. I can get better gains in the gym and not waste, but have my time there. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you, but I just want to make sure that it's clear so that when people are hearing it, I'm not saying I would rather go work out than do that. I'm just saying that the two scenarios are very different.
Right.
One is a man who cares deeply or a woman who cares deeply about their mate, and they want to express that. And then afterwards, you come together and you're closer than you were, right? And the other is someone being dismissive or just using that now as a crutch because they know that for that period of time. So the period of time can be a couple of hours, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months. It just depends. That's all relative, depending on the individual. But once they figure that out, once a woman knows, I can get to unseen and he's going to be good for about a month, in a month, you done forgot about the whole conversation, the whole argument.
And you know what? Very good point. And okay, then, so we gonna come right back on this, and I want to talk about. Okay, so if there's a trend, then there's a disconnect. I know for a fact that intimacy can reestablish a connection. What does the conversation has to, I think TLC said it best. I like plenty of conversation with my sex. So what does the conversation have to be along with the physical act to reestablish the connection? Make up sex. We'll be right back with you. Make love, not war. This is a good advice, extended stay. Princess Landis Unseen. Let's get it.
Check out the Good Advice Show, Extended Stay, every Tuesday night, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BWNYBroadcast.com and GreatNationNetwork.com. Don't miss it.
Good Advice Extended Stay is right back with you. I am the capital UNC, and this is the Griot Nation Network, BWNY Broadcast, a combination black media working together. On the line, Princess Landis of the Good Advice Extended Stay. She is the superstar. I am riding shotgun. My name, the capital UNC, and as you already know, Griot Nation Radio, Griot Nation over everything. And we're talking about makeup sex, and we're talking about the pros and cons. And Princess Landis, her and myself just had a heated exchange on, on the concept of trading real live understanding, sitting down, talking to an individual and working the thing out for that explosive moment, and what the benefit is of that, and how it can help and how it can hurt. And I'm personally, I am a proponent of anything in balance. Like, as long as it's balanced. I don't think there's anything wrong. Sometimes I don't know that I'm tense about something that's small and petty until I release it. Sometimes that's the case. And I'm holding someone else accountable for how I feel, and protesting in certain ways and treating them certain ways. And basically now they getting pissed off because there's something within me that I'm not communicating properly. And now you got this disconnect. And sometimes when your mate, and it doesn't have to be sex, right? Sometimes when your mate comes through and rub your shoulders, or just still embraces you when you in that funk, a lot of times brings you out. And so I think, and I think that pattern outside of the bedroom is really the makeup, and then the sex is the actual icing on the cake, if you will. It's the culmination. It is the show of appreciation for working that out. And I've been, like you said, I've been desolate outside the bedroom and fulfilled inside the bedroom in a relationship, and it didn't work. And I've been fulfilled outside of the bedroom, but not fulfilled inside of the bedroom, and it didn't work.
That doesn't work either.
So you have to have that. You have to have that balance. But makeup sex is a very thin, very fine line. And I guess, how can you, when patterns set in around money, because relationships normally end for sex and money. 1 out of 3 marriages end in divorce. And so how can you reestablish that connection that's lost through the beatdown of this world, and sometimes, most of the time, just a miscommunication? How can makeup sex help with that?
Well, I mean, when we are intimate with one another, it does bring us back together. We bond. We, in many different ways, whether we're talking in all those languages, we're feeding each other the food that we need, for that moment. And so I think it makes us closer. And I think I'm not disagreeing with it. I just think that we need to be careful not to set up a pattern of wanting to have makeup sex because we need attention. Wanting to have makeup sex because this is the only way I can say I'm sorry, instead of verbally saying that. Someone said to me earlier, I have a strong desire to put my arms around you. And it made me blush because I haven't had that. That, to me, is a level of intimacy that, that speaks volume. And I think that it's just being in the moment, because we can be intimate with one another, being present with one another. And that's that harmony. When we're harmonizing with one another, sometimes or when people are disconnected, it's because one person is not present. One person's here and the other person is not. So we can't be in harmony with one another. We're going to be disconnected.
Right.
And so makeup sex is great. But understanding when you have that disconnect, we need to be able to, okay, if I'm in harmony with my mate, I'm like, I know that I'm not feeling great, or I had a long day or a bad day, and I'm upset with him, and he has absolutely nothing to do with it. And there are ways to deal with that where you're not combative, and you know what I mean, where you're being very supportive of the other person.
Let me ask you this: you ever came home from a hard day's work and your man was at the house, or he came over? And, you in the tub, relaxing, washing the day off, y'all have been beefing, and he's coming over. And it's almost like an anticipation of sex, right? Because even though it hadn't been said, it's an unspoken language between two people. and you in the bathtub, the issue has not been resolved. But as you are, taking the day off, you start feeling a little, amorous, you know what I'm saying? You start getting in the mood, if you will, and you solo, you by yourself. And the issue has not been resolved. However, in that moment, have you ever been like, you know what? I feel this. Am I going to put this to the side and go ahead and have this conversation? Or am I just going to allow, the God of intimacy to take over right now and possibly heal this situation?
Yeah. Well, I think I've been in both situations. I've been in a situation where I was like, okay, well, you know what, screw this. Can we be mad later? Can we be mad
right
now? And he was, I dated someone who was very, very emotional, I'm a highly sensitive person, and he was too. I have a different way of thinking, though.
Right.
I wanted to have sex and come back to it. I didn't want to use it, make up sex to resolve it. I was just like, can we just make love to one another, and do what we do, and then we can talk about this. We can make some coffee and, have some toast like we do, or some tea or whatever. And he was just like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to talk about it now. I was like, all right, fine. And then I've had the opposite, where they were, well, can't we just, no, I don't. But I think I'm going to tell you why, because I know why.
Right.
The reason that the answer was, he said no, and the reason that I said no later on to someone else was because we were only connected in those ways. So I was connected with him physically, but we really weren't he wasn't my soulmate, because I believe you can have more than one soulmate in your lifetime. He wasn't one of them. And then the other person who came along later on in life, he was really into me and I wasn't into him. Right. So, that's that whole thing. That's a whole nother show, but it just didn't line up. And, sometimes that happens.
I know it's been plenty of times we've been like, okay, let's go ahead and do this, and then we'll talk. And the talk never happens because, you never work your way back around to the conversation. And sometimes, sometimes you again, a lot of times what's within is the issue, and it's not the other person. And you need that release. You need to be able to say to yourself, you overblew that in your mind. You were protesting. You made her feel like that by thinking this way, or you were in a funk because of. That has nothing to do with the other person. But the other person and what y'all share in the form of intimacy, sexual intimacy, can become a catalyst for you going within yourself, releasing that tension, and then coming back to yourself, the person that person loves, that your significant other loves, or they coming back into the relationship. You like, where you been? And then that's when you say, you know what, I've been bugging. You know what I mean? I was kind of trapped in this situation with work or what. Well, I need you to communicate with me. It opens up the lines of communication, but it was done without the long, drawn out process that sometimes people crawl back further into their shells, depending on what type of relationship you have. You know what I mean? Some people need that push, that catalyst to come out sometimes. In that regard, I think it's a good thing. If you have to think about sex, or if you have to think about being intimate with a person for one reason or the other, 9 times out of 10, you know what I mean, it's not the therapeutic release or connection that's, you see what I'm saying, that's organic, that's real. Normally, if you spend more time thinking about your relationship, especially your intimacy, than you do being intimate or being in the relationship, then 9 times out of 10, there's no real connection or no real trust. There's a breakdown there. And so, good advice. We're gonna come right back with you, man. I believe tonight, from the pulpit, I'm saying to you, believe in the power of intimacy and makeup sex, y'all. But at the same time, be smart in how you use it. Good advice. We'll be right back with you in a heartbeat. Boom, 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 boom.
Check out the Good Advice Show Extended Stay every Tuesday night, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BWNYBroadcast.com and GriotNationNetwork.com. Don't miss it.
Right back with you. I am the capital UNC and Princess Landis on the line. Man, we coming to the close of the show in a little bit, and we so excited and tickled because, you know, certain things happen, man. Certain things click, and you realize that, you know, an elder told me today when he saw me laughing, he said, you know what you were doing? You were laughing. You know what's important about that? It's very therapeutic, and sometimes you have to position yourself just to accept the energy and let it work with you, and don't try. I don't think the mind should be used to solve problems. I think the mind is there to build on the intuitive cognition, the truth of who you are, if you allow it to do that. Like we use the mind to overthink things a lot of times, and often we create our own situations. And sometimes in a relaxed state, or allowing the mind to accept the fact that you really just don't want to deal with this bush, and you want to relax, a lot of times is much more productive and returns you to a truth about yourself that you couldn't reach in your own mind because you were so busy trying to add up the facts and be so serious about things. And so I'm not saying ignore it, Princess Landis, but at the end of the day, how do we balance that relaxation and make sure that that stays important? Because in that particular state, that's when we most productive.
Have sex.
And see, that's not, see the thing about what you just did based on what you've said the whole show, that's the last thing you would do. And so with
I'm just kidding. Just joking, kids.
Say that again.
Just joking.
yeah, for all the children out there, this is laughter in progress. We mean what we say. This is therapy.
Yes. It's important.
Yes.
I've had a long day.
But again, when it comes sex has so much importance when it comes to validation.
It's important.
And a lot of times, you know, as you get older and you learn to be, you know, to make yourself happy, it loses its value and significance that way. And you know, and so I get it, but you know, hopefully throughout exactly, but throughout my life, you know, no, see, now you tripping. What I'm saying is, you when you become less dependent on others for your emotional happiness, and so with that being the case, then the sex takes a back seat because we got this thing, we in this movement now where, you know, everybody has to be happy within themselves, and they, you know, don't be dependent on anybody else, and sometimes sex gets lost in the sauce because, first of all, if you're talking about 18 women to every man, and if you're talking about a shortage of men in general, then there's a lot of women that have been forced into this, you know, this reality. But in truth, we all miss each other. And there's no better way to repair our families and make sure that we trust and build intimacy and build love than sex a lot of times. And I just think, you know, it's getting a bad rap these days. And I want to see us return to the therapeutic aspect of what makes us happy.
Well, okay, that's great. And I agree with you in some respects. And in others, all I'm saying is just be mindful of where you are in your relationship and why you're using makeup sex. That's all I'm saying. And that in that, if the goal for you and your relationship is to be in harmony with your mate, is to be on one accord with your mate, is to love them and respect them and appreciate them. Makeup sex is great, but just make sure that you also have an open mind to how you're communicating effectively. Because if you're using it as a crutch and you're not resolving those issues, eventually you're going to have the elephant is just going to be not only in the bedroom, but in the living room and the dining room and in the bathroom. Right. So I'm just saying that I agree with you. Sex is great. I'm not saying that it isn't. Makeup sex is a great tool to use, but be mindful when you use it. That's all I'm saying.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Princess Landis, man. It's always a serious thing, man. When you're talking about your health, you're talking about your well-being, and sex is a very good way. The energy you take on from a person, the accountability that comes along with it, we have to take it very seriously, man, from the emotional to the physical effects and the spiritual effects. So with that being the case, always be mindful, man, of why you're doing it.
and be mindful of what your real goals are, and never discount yourself for 5 minutes of pleasure when there are serious issues in your relationships that need to be resolved. And with that being the case, y'all, we're going to close this show. It was a beautiful show. Princess Landis, I always appreciate the energy you bring. Very, 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 very dynamic. And, look forward to building with you in 6 more days, sister.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
No doubt. Good advice, Extended State, Capital UNC, and Princess Landis, Chicago, Buffalo. We are out. Peace.
Check out the Good Advice Show, Extended Stay, every Tuesday night, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BWNYBroadcast.com and KreateNationNetwork.com. Don't miss it.